Good morning, everyone. I'm Sheila Simmons, and today I am going to talk to you about responsible social media usage. Professionally, I'm the VP for Wealth and Investment Management with Huntington's Private Bank. Academically, along with all the rest of you, I am a Xavier University student going on this journey towards achieving my MBA. So the agenda for this actual presentation is as follows. I'd like to just highlight some of the various social media outlets that are out there. Secondly, I'd like for us to really dig a little bit into how we can safely and effectively navigate through the professional social media outlets. And then lastly, talk about how we can enjoy our personal social media sites without risking our future. We'll see some scenarios in later slides where individuals have made not great choices, and it certainly has impacted their futures. In social media, there are so many sites that we've all experienced and probably have ventured into ourselves, but for the purpose of this presentation, I really would like to spend time focused more so on LinkedIn and Instagram. Let's talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn can be a very, very valuable professional networking tool, and it's very important that we understand how to navigate through having effective LinkedIn profiles and make sure we don't fall into the pitfalls of not having good LinkedIn profiles. LinkedIn has certainly done a great job in identifying some very key things to consider when building out your profile. As we can see, there are 8 different tips that they've identified, but I really just want to focus on a couple of them for the sake of time. I want to look to the far right of the screen where we see the icon that says well-written summary and experience in block format. To me, this is really important because I've seen in my past experiences and prior roles where I've spent more time than I care to admit looking at LinkedIn profiles to try to gain an understanding of who a certain person is, what their experience is, and it's not a time for there to be 2 or 3 pages of paragraph formed summaries. This is just, it's a blurb. So, a brief summary, well written, in black format that really just identifies what your key successes, your key contributing factors to your prior roles or your expertise has been over time. And that way, other recruiters, employers, and the like really in a very small blurb can get an idea of who they're looking at and if there's someone that they would like to engage in further conversation. Which really kind of transitions into the next, which is kind of telling a little bit about yourself through your achievements, your examples, and your testimonials. By all means, if you've experienced success, you've been awarded certain certifications or rewards as a result, by all means, post that. Share that. That's a great way for people to realize not only do you have experience in this area, but you've also been successful in executing through those experiences. And the last of the 8 that I want to speak about today is really just having a great headshot. It's not this is not the profile to use your best selfie when you're out on vacation with your family or your friends. Invest in having a professional headshot. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but it would surely go a long way in creating and building your professional brand on LinkedIn. Now that we've talked about LinkedIn do's, let's certainly take a step and look at some of the LinkedIn don'ts. Obviously, if your LinkedIn profile is not current, it really is defeating the purpose of why you even have a LinkedIn. LinkedIn is sort of like your abbreviated resume. It's the opportunity for employers, educators, prospects, and otherwise to be able to see what you've done, what you've accomplished, how much experience you've got, what companies you've worked for. Some of the companies that we work for speak louder than maybe even some of the experience that we list because they know that those companies may only hire top-notch people. And if your LinkedIn is not current and it doesn't reflect your current location, or maybe you've got a job on there from 5 years ago that you've not worked at, it just sends a message that you really are not up to date, and you're not as diligent with keeping your professional brand succinct. Certainly, because professionals use LinkedIn, having a poorly written LinkedIn page is definitely likely to give a poor reflection of you, good, bad, or indifferent. It's sort of like the understanding that communicating via text message or email can send a different tone even when it's unintended. We have to kind of think about that with your LinkedIn page. People are not able to hear your voice, your tones. They've not met you in many cases, and so they're really making a major decision of whether or not they want to connect with you, explore an opportunity with you based on what they see on LinkedIn. As I mentioned before, with the headshot, you know, truly, the expense to have a professional headshot is minimal as it relates to how it can hinder your abilities or at least make your page much cleaner. An unprofessional headshot should not be, one of our selfies when we're out with our friends. It shouldn't be blurry. It should not certainly have, you know, we shouldn't be in casual wear with our professional headshot. These are things that I'm sure we all know, but just for the sake of making sure I leave no stones unturned, I just want to make sure I say it. Somewhat like I mentioned around not having a current LinkedIn page, not having content at all on your LinkedIn page, it really again defeats the purpose. Why did you even go through the exercise of creating a LinkedIn page if we're not going to put any content so that others can see what we're about and what we're capable of? It's another fragmented characteristic. It seems like, well, I've got a LinkedIn, I haven't filled it out. I started it a few years ago. I'll get around to it at some point. Just, it's not good. And many professionals are using LinkedIn more so now than ever, as we continue to, use social media to kind of bridge the gap from having to always call people, or always lean on recommendations. LinkedIn is the recommendation of choice now. Meandering, having a hard to follow experience guide. Again, as I alluded to before, we just want to make sure we've got a really good plan, and our experience is crystal clear, is succinct, it's in order, and others can understand over time how our careers have progressed and where our experience has come from. And then lastly, for LinkedIn don'ts, not having a thinking or strategy around your personal brand, it just leaves you sort of looking like you are really all over the place. You don't necessarily know what you're trying to do, trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do, what your goals are. And so it really makes it difficult for others to understand where they can be helpful and where they can find opportunities for you within their organizations. Now that we've taken the past few minutes to talk about LinkedIn do's and don'ts from a professional social media perspective, I think we definitely need to dig into our personal social media. And what we see here is a picture of myself over the holidays with an elf dress on, standing in front of a poinsettia tree. Shows a little bit of my personality, and it's unoffensive. I would be completely comfortable with anyone who stumbled into my social media personally and saw this picture. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts here as well. Social media do's. For your personal social media, it's a great outlet for you to establish your voice, be yourself, let your personality shine, as I mentioned in my picture with me in the elf costume in front of a poinsettia tree. It's great for people to be able to look at your page and get a glimpse of who you are as a person. And in general, you really want that glimpse to be a positive glimpse. This is a great opportunity to incorporate some of your personal and your professional interest. So an example of this, about 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, I presented a financial plan seminar to our local urban league with young professionals. And I was highlighted as one of their featured speakers. And I was so proud and so excited that they asked me to do it. Not only did I post it on my personal social media, but I posted it on my professional social media. I was just happy. Plus, I wanted people to come and support me, whether they needed professional financial planning or not. I wanted the support, whether they were from friends or from other professionals that I work with. Follow and interact with some of your professional colleagues or friends, your other influencers. Again, as some of you know, I work in a client-facing environment, and it's really, really crucial for my clients to like me and want to do business with me. People do business with people that they like. We've all heard that before. And, more recently, I had an opportunity to just have a casual dinner with one of my clients, and we just chit chatted for about an hour and a half. At the end, she said, "Wow, it's really great to just get to know who you are without a business agenda. And, I'm really glad we're working together." Later on that night, she sent me a Instagram follow request. And I was completely, I was fine with it because there's nothing on my LinkedIn or my Instagram that has me worried about who I want to be able to see that snapshot of my personal life. Another scenario there, when I was being courted by Huntington through their recruiting process, had a great relationship, great conversation with the recruiter. The transition or process before I made a decision to move took about 13 months. But during that time, that recruiter also went to my Instagram page, sent me a follow request. And again, while I wasn't sure if it were appropriate or not, I didn't have to really fret over the awkwardness of, gosh, I don't really want her to see what I do in my personal life because I don't want them to judge me or have a different opinion about me than what they've seen professionally. I was fine with it. Use caution here, um, but definitely just be aware that everything we put on the internet is accessible, and it's really just to what degree are others willing to go through to find out what your information looks like. And then certainly read before we share, before we retweet, you know, thinking about grammatical errors here, thinking about making sure we're not saying that we represent something that maybe we don't and have it misconstrued. We don't want to necessarily be connected to things that are, socially irresponsible. And, I think I can leave some of that to your imagination. Now, we are going to talk a little bit about social media don'ts. I think that we probably could master this slide, but just for the sake of making sure I leave nothing to chance, when we think about our personal social media don'ts, just from a pure safety scenario, it's just not good to talk about confidential information, whether it's you are on your trip and you want to show your pictures. By all means, have a great time, take pictures, but from again, from a safety perspective, probably isn't a good idea to let all of your followers know that you're across the world on a cruise ship and you won't be back for 7 days. I don't want it to be doom and gloom, but why put yourself at risk? Other things that you shouldn't list as confidential information are, again, no brainers, but account numbers, passwords, PIN numbers, things that will put you at risk, things that might put your family, or your friends at risk. Next, let's not have foul language. It, again, is just not a good representation of who we are. We're all in Xavier University's MBA program, and I'm sure that we're doing this because we are looking to advance our careers, or we're looking to expand our knowledge base and whatever we've chosen to study in. And, I think that I can assume that most of us or all of us care about our image, our reputation, what our brand says about us. And what we put on our personal social media pages certainly is a reflection of our brand. Um, which is a great transition to the next bullet point. Live tweeting your night at the bar. Have fun with your friends. This is not saying be, antisocial or not have fun. This is just saying, when you've had a few too many and you've gone from looking like you're just having a jolly old time with your friends to looking like you're irresponsibly drinking or any other activity for that matter that should not be viewed to the public. Diving into drama, I see this so often. Honestly, I saw it so often on Facebook, which is why I've personally chosen not to use Facebook anymore. Um, that's just my own thing, but I just saw so many people would post things that were just, either they were sad stories or they were drama filled about a relationship, a friendship gone south, something that happened to them that day and they wanted to vent about it on social media. This is just not the platform for that. So I've chosen to sort of remove as much of that as I can from my personal social media, from others. And at no point would anyone ever see me post an argument or a conflict that I may be having with a spouse or a relative or anything like that. It's not the platform for it. Again, posting with grammatical errors, because everything we put on the internet is accessible in some capacity to someone. Let's leave our image clean. And what I mean by that is if we've got a LinkedIn page that's pristine and well put together, and a recruiter or other looks at that and they decide to see if we have a social media page that's personal and that page is, you know, has all kinds of, grammatical errors, run on sentences, bad phrases, anything that just wouldn't be viewed as consistent with what we've shown on our professional page, it may start to make us look like we're a little phony baloney. So let's not unwind the greatness that we've done on our LinkedIn pages. And then certainly be thoughtful about what pictures we choose to post of ourselves, our friends, activities that we engage in. We've all seen or heard recent stories about others who have used their social media for wrong. And when I say for wrong, they maybe didn't do things intentionally to offend anyone. But again, social media is open to the public. So, I've got a couple different links here. The first one actually talks about a Saints, a New Orleans Saints NFL cheerleader who was terminated in 2018 for posting what they felt were a revealing and inappropriate photo of herself on her Instagram page. And, this particular photo was, it was a photo of her in kind of like a lingerie type of attire. And personally, I've seen, other photos that seem to have been a little more revealing on other models' pages, things like that. But for the Saints code of conduct, this was a no-no. Something else that they mentioned that I didn't post here is that she also showed pictures hanging out with some of the NFL players, and that is as well an NFL no-no. It violates the code of conduct. So she was let go. She's been fighting it for a while, but she posted it on her Instagram. It was discovered, and she's now unemployed. The second link has actually 6 different stories of employees who were terminated for their jobs as a result of their social media posts. They're pretty interesting. They range from, saying things that were anti what the company believed in, which is a big deal now. Companies are very serious about their images. They're very serious about who's working for them and how they carry their image. So we've got to be very careful. But by all means, take a look at these pages and let me know what your thoughts are.